conviction to the heart. Just the name of our church, when people hear it, if they do some homework, I've seen it kind of, I was visiting a lady one time, and her housekeeper happened to be there. And I said Seventh-day Adventist, and she said, "Oh, I know the Sabbath is the seventh day." I mean, I wasn't even talking to her. But just the name of the church brought some conviction to it. Every marketing consultant, it says there, though, stresses the importance of setting yourself apart. And I said here a few generations ago, maybe we tried too hard to separate ourselves from other churches, but I'm noticing with this generation, we're trying too hard to be exactly like everybody else. So there's a balance. There's a balance there. I've noticed with a lot of churches I work with, there's some churches, they'll do marriage seminars, and they'll do a cooking school, or they'll do financial management, which is a big need, or you name it, car repair, it doesn't matter. There's churches that do that, but then they don't do prophecy and the three angels' message. Then there's churches who all they do is prophecy, and they don't do other things, and it's better to balance it. Balanced approach, avoiding those extremes we talked about this morning, worldly conformity and superficial conservatism. So try to meet people where their needs are. You know people, and I can tell you strange stories of a church that did a women's self-defense class, and then it got picked up on the news, and just all kinds of free news that gets out there about your church, or churches that have done a computer security course or something. And those kind of things are going to get you in the door more than prophecy, because they don't see them as a threat. I've seen colleges help advertise our stuff. It's hard to get a college to advertise a prophecy meeting, even though I do them. Those kind of little things, you can get away with a lot. If it's some sort of a generic thing, I would do it in the fellowship hall or something like that. I've been shocked. And there's a lot of different options for that. Few people go to church, the next paragraph, few people will go to church on a different day, quit their job, tolerate pressure from their family and friends, and stick out like a sore thumb if you give them no good reason to. And that's where, through the Bible study and through the three angels' message, we can show people that we need to be here together. First, it's no big deal. We're just studying together. But they are not going to make a decision and major changes in their life unless we give them a reason to, and that's why we present a unique message. Look at number 2. What should be the emphasis of the three angels' message? Christ's object lessons. I didn't use this morning, but it's popular. The last rays of merciful light, the last message of mercy to be given to the world is a revelation of what? His character of love. So I'm here to serve you and help you, and that's what makes the difference. That's what changes lives. And we'd be surprised what catches people's attention. This happened about 15 years ago. I was talking to someone that I had kind of grown up with and was connected to my family, but it was just Christmas time, and it was no religious event. But the New York Times had an article about Christmas. It was right around Christmas time, and they went through Constantine and the timing, but it also had a little segment in there of the Sabbath and how it changed. And this lawyer he had no religious interest before this. All of a sudden he reads some article in the New York Times, and he's asking me these questions. Did you know that Jesus wasn't born exactly on December 25? And I said, where'd you learn that? And he was like, well, the New York Times had a thing and talked about a guy named Constantine. And I so we're listening, and I said, yeah. And I said, Constantine, I have a coin of Constantine. I said, and on it says the venerable day of the sun, and the world changed a lot. He was a political figure. They changed the capital to Constantinople, and all of a sudden he was like, huh? And so I'm giving him a Bible study through the New York Times. There was no Bible. And it's funny how God used the newspaper to kind of get that fire started with people. Let's look at the next one. We breezed over this morning. When are we to tell them? And this one is important. This is a quote I did not use this morning. I did use one where it says 3 angels' message in their order, but this is critical. And it says, I saw a company who stood well guarded and firm, giving no countenance to those who would unsettle the established faith of the body. That I showed this morning. I was shown 3 steps, first, second, third angel's message. But listen to what the angel said to her. Woe to him who moves a block or stirs a pin of these messages, the first, second, and third in their order. The destiny of souls hangs upon what? The manner in which they're received. Because sometimes we get impatient, and sometimes we take matters into our own hands. And I've heard many wives or husbands or whatever say, I told my husband the truth, I've done my part, and it's his. No, don't give up, and don't be discouraged, or don't be lazy. Just because you told somebody, how did you tell them? And, the destiny of souls hangs upon how we do things. Not to just say, well, I did it. I gave my neighbor a book, and I told him. I said, well, maybe you bring your neighbor some food and other stuff too, not just information all the time. Meet their needs. Meet their needs, their hunger, the car broke down. Meet that. Then you'll have a lot more room and time for theological stuff. But she says the destiny of souls. The illustration I use sometimes that I did not put in this booklet, and I should have, is the story of William Miller. William Miller rejected the Sabbath. He thought Sabbath keepers were just extremists, and the same with Martin Luther. They were not fans of Sabbath keepers. And William Miller, Ellen White says about him that God hid him in the grave because people were turning his heart away from the truth. But to this day, angels guard his grave. Whereas God used William Miller to get the ball rolling of the Advent movement, but he never embraced the Sabbath. And he had met some Sabbath keepers that turned him off. And some of his Baptist friends had turned him off to it. And the Lord didn't want him to go far away, and he hid him in the grave. He said, look, your work is done, and you're okay. Angels guard his grave. So it was the manner in which people presented it to him that made the difference, where he thought, oh, no, you guys have gone too far now. But let's be mindful of that, the manner. So when do we present it? The next question. First and second and